HotSpot. It is Wednesday, January 4th. It is the first HotSpot of 2012. Who's excited?
Huzzah!
Chris Waters, you sound excited.
I'm the only one here who's excited.
Hooray!
Yay!
Oh, Thomas McShay, how are you doing?
I'm kind of excited.
And Sean McDennis.
McDennis? Whoa. I don't even... McDennis? What is that?
I don't know what
It's
it
a
means.
new one.
Wow.
You know,
tried
every so
to
often you get a
speak.
new mispronunciation of your last name, and it's delightful. You know, new year, new butchering of
In
your
all
last name.
That is almost as bad as the time that I got a package from Activision that was addressed on the outside to Sean McGinnis with a G.
Okay.
And inside was an envelope addressed to Sean McKinnis with a K. But McDennis is definitely close. That's
McDennis
close.
is, I'm occasionally mealy-mouthed. I don't know why. It's difficult to pronounce words with these luscious lips of mine. Anyway, so we have no... Was that no good?
No,
I blew a kiss.
I'm shocked. That's fine.
No,
It's,
let's
you know,
keep talking about your weird luscious
going.
lips.
You're
Yeah.
weird.
Your weird luscious
spicy
little-
new
and
year
your
here in the
mealy
booth.
mouth.
My mealy mouth.
And your luscious lips.
My luscious. One wouldn't think that that they combine well, but they do.
One wouldn't think about those two terms at all together,
Yeah.
unless one was a HotSpot listener.
Or a hotspot host. Anyway, we don't actually have anything really good to talk about this week because
Way to
there's-
build up our first
You were
episode.
right.
Brad.
really supposed
First
to wait to
episode
the
of
end of
the
the
year,
episode to say
we're
that.
starting strong.
But we do have a lot of bad stuff to talk about.
Namely, Game of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
That was really bad.
How was that bad?
Oh, I don't
It's
know.
not.
I think it was just a transition.
Oh, that was just a
It's
poor.
terrible.
That was a poor transition.
Yeah, butchered
poor-
transition.
That was a part.
That was
Clearly-
a real just.
I had this
Shit
New Year's
show.
resolution of becoming a better hotspot host, but it
Okay.
didn't happen. Or at least it's not happened yet. I'm working on it. Anyway,
Takes work.
Game of the Year, it happened. We dubbed Skyrim, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, as the Game of the Year.
Yay!
Yay!
Was this all your guys' Game of the Year?
No.
Personal game?
It was my number 2 game of the year, and
Yeah.
it was my most played game of the year,
But not your personal
but
game
not
of the year.
my personal game of the year.
What was your personal Game of the Year?
That honor went to Portal Dose.
Portal Dose.
Portal Dose.
Which was very well represented in our recap rundown. It won some other story, best writing and dialogue,
Yep.
Memorable
best
moments.
PS3.
Best
How did that
PS3.
happen?
Because
the
the
PS3
Skyrim version of
Skyrim on PS3 is
PS3.
kind of junky and
Oh.
problematic.
Not unlike all of the other versions of Skyrim.
I've played the PC one, and it's been just fine for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
really had any problems on Xbox.
Well, I mean, problems are relative because, like, in that game, it has irrefutably bugs, but not game-breaking bugs. Somehow they're endearing bugs. I don't know. We have this whole spoiler cast, and we shat upon Skyrim, our game of the year, the entire time.
And then at
That's
the
right,
end, you
that was
guys are like,
terrible.
"Oh, right, it was a good."
Oh yeah,
game.
but all of that said, game's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Portal 2 was your favorite game of the year, Sean. Why? What was your arguments for it being game of the year, or why did you find it game of the year?
I think just because it sort of had the highest peak in terms of enjoyment. The amount of time I spent in that game, it's obviously a much smaller package than Skyrim is.
Right.
Doesn't have that sort of breadth of content, but I smiled the widest when I was playing Portal 2, and it's the kind of game that just sticks with you. Like, your memories of that game last for months and months, and even when you're thinking about it, like, 8 months later, you're like, wow, Portal 2. I still really like that game.
Game
That
was
game was
not
awesome.
bad.
We did
Yeah.
a spoiler cast for that. That was actually
Which I was not on.
yeah, I was on it. It was a really good spoiler cast. So
Yeah.
if you guys are wondering why we adore Portal
Right.
2, you should listen to that one.
Was Portal 2 your favorite game?
I think it came out number 3 on my list.
Uh-huh.
Arbitrary numbering. Terraria was my favorite game
Terraria,
by a wide margin.
the Minecraft, not clone, but
It's a
inspiration.
2D. It's a little more focused than Minecraft. It's more gamey than Minecraft. So
It's
I like it a lot more.
It's a dig 'em up.
It's a
It's a dig 'em up.
It's a dig 'em up.
So what made it special for you?
I'm the guy who doesn't like the hand holding and just wants to explore and adventure. And this is actually a game that gave me that. And it was a real pain in the butt for a while figuring it out. But then once it clicked, I loved it. And that was my most played game of the year.
Did you play it or did you play Minecraft at all? Or
Yeah, I played Minecraft first, and it did not click. It's just tough to navigate and build in 3D for me.
okay,
So the 2D Terraria was just a lot easier to grasp where to go and not get lost and stuff like that.
I see. Mr.
Yeah.
Waters,
Yo,
your game of the year,
Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Scrim.
What was the appeal for Skyrim for you?
For me, so if these sort of selections sound familiar, some of you folks may have read, we wrote up some personal perspectives. We sort of did a personal top 10 list, and I chose Skyrim because because I just immersed myself in that world so thoroughly. And I took as much pleasure from slaying a dragon and, freezing Falmer with my ice breath and then whacking them in the dome as I did with, like, doing really mundane stuff.
Yeah.
Just, like, harvesting, like, mining gold, making ore, crafting necklaces, selling those necklaces, and then buying some new furniture for my house.
Yeah.
Like, it lets me be like a regular dude and also this awesome hero, and both are equally immersive to me, and it's just so great to be able to have those two disparate experiences woven together in the same game world. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, my game of the year was also Skyrim, and which is weird because, like, in many ways, I just did not like this game. I thought it was bad in so many ways. Like, it did have bugs, and its combat was not great, and its story was not great, and its dialogue was not great. But for some reason, like, I almost feel like I was addicted to this game and not, like, compelled to play it. Like, I had to play it as opposed to I wanted to play it, which is weird because I still really liked it.
That sounds like an abusive relationship.
Yeah, I really had... I almost called the cops. I'm not.
You
gonna
almost-
lie. I almost called the cops.
Okay, well, it's good you didn't.
Right.
Because
the cops would have been like, "What the
Yeah,
fuck
like,
are you
what?
doing?
You're wasting
Again?
our time."
Again."
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Mr. Magrino, we've talked about this before.
Right.
Your inability to turn off your gaming system is not our concern.
And also, you should probably work on that whole distinguishing between fantasy and reality. But I don't know. It's like the parts of Skyrim that I really liked were the parts that were very mundane and, like, getting stuck in a room for half an hour because I need to find all the crafting materials. I need to read through all these books. I need to just do things that are like, I didn't do anything, but I just did a lot of things.
You just end up doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you read? You read some books?
I read
in
a
that?
few books.
I end up finding myself I'm like, all right, books. I'm gonna peek at these to see if I get my little skill point, etc. But I also just find myself reading them from time to time and taking the time, just like, all right, cool. Like one weekend, I just made myself lunch, and I was hanging out in the Mages Guild library and just read a bunch of books on my TV while I ate a sandwich.
Nice.
I don't know. Is it? It was fun for me.
Was it a Skyrim inspired
is
sandwich?
that really
recipe?
No, it was what is in my fridge inspired sandwich.
Also, found items are always good
Yeah.
for lunch. So
I'm just imagining like a baking soda and Kool-Aid sandwich.
With some
Because that was
mustard.
all that Chris had in his fridge.
Is it
Maybe. I don't know.
My
don't
fridge is a little better stocked than
Yeah.
like some dude straight out of college living by himself, but it's a mini fridge.
It's a mini fridge. A half-consumed can of Red Bull.
Yeah, like
That's
with some
awesome.
saran wrap and a rubber band around the top of it, because
you'll
that's going to keep
eventually
it good.
get back to it. It's already got the vodka mixed in, so it's staying good. It's been sterilized.
Bury the dog.
Do you guys have any lasting holdovers or anything else you want to say about Game of the Year?
I've got an
Close out?
idea actually.
Okay.
It's a little game.
Okay.
I'm open. I've got our personal top tens open right now.
Oh.
I would like to read Chris and Tom their top tens and have them describe each game in a single word.
Oh.
Tom,
Are you
ready
going to
for this?
alternate?
We want to do this with you too, though.
okay, you can do it with me afterwards.
I was not invited to
Are you gonna-
participate.
Well,
in this.
yeah, and you don't have the top 10,
I don't
so
have
we
a
can't
top
let
10.
you do this.
That's
Sorry.
fine.
Are you going to alternate between words, people, or is it just me for?
I'm going to
time's
start with
sake?
you. I'm going to start with you, Tom.
This is. Can't you just alternate? There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of pressure.
Fine.
It's just one word.
Okay. Are you ready, Tom?
A little bit.
Number 10, The Binding of Isaac.
One word.
One word.
That's
That's
two
two
words.
Jinx, you
You guys
can't
have the
talk
same
anymore.
bad joke. Okay, one word for the
yeah.
Binding of Isaac.
Gotta make it quick.
Diabolical.
All right, Chris, number 10, Gears of War 3.
Emotional.
Really?
Tom, number 9, Bastion.
Read the write up, homie.
Music.
Music. All right, Tom, number 9, Halo, Combat Evolved Anniversary.
That's for Chris.
Yeah.
There's two games there.
Oh, and The Legend of Zelda or Ocarina of Time.
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia, all right. Tom, number 8, Mario Kart 7.
Shell.
Shell.
Time out.
Also
Did you
gasoline.
say Orcarina?
Ocarina.
Is that
Yeah,
an
you did.
ocarina
Yeah.
shaped like a killer whale?
I don't know
is,
if
yeah.
we can actually do timeouts right now. The camera is still rolling.
Okay.
I can't turn it
Oh,
off.
look at this.
Number
split view.
8, Chris. Super Brother Sword and Sorcery EP.
That game looks rad. by the way.
Imaginative.
Imaginative. Pretty good. Tom, number 7, Catherine.
Ooh. Cheating.
Cheating. Oh.
I would go with Deviant.
Deviant. That's pretty good. Chris, number 7, Capsized.
Floating.
Floating. Yeah. Tom, number 6, El Shaddai. Ascension of the Megatron.
Biblical.
Also, it's Metatron. I mispronounced that.
Did
On
you say
purpose.
Megatron? What did
Megatron.
you say?
Robotic.
Chris, number 6, Portal 2 and Ghost Trick.
And Ghost Trick?
Yeah.
Charisma.
Charisma. Pretty good. Tom, number 5, To the Moon.
I can't. Crying?
Crying.
I wanted like a word that.
Chris, number 5,
Yeah.
Resistance 3.
Action.
Action. Crying would have worked too.
Right. You know Brendan Sinclair's
I don't cry in
metaphor
that game.
for
Yes,
or
I do.
euphemism
I do.
for crying, right?
That's why I wanted to get away from that.
Okay, I'm gonna do it anyway. Brendan believes that you can substitute the word masturbating for crying, and it'll make sense across all of the idioms associated with the word crying, like "cry me a river" or or what are some other ones?
You have tears all over your shirt.
Oh right. Oh, it can be anything related
Like
to
that song "When Doves Masturbate."
Right.
Crocodile tears.
Crocodile.
Crocodile.
It's not mine. It's Brendan's. Anyway,
It is-
continue with.
All right, number 4, Tom. Shadows of the Damned.
Oh, boner.
Boner. Pretty good. Chris, number 4, Red Fraction Armageddon.
Gleeful.
Evil. All right. Tom, number 3, Portal 2.
Moon.
Moon. That would have worked for To the Moon as well.
Spoilers.
Chris, number 3, Dork Souls. I'm intentionally mispronouncing all of
you
them.
Oh,
sure
are you now?
are.
We just thought that your reading level
Insidious.
Insidious. Good choice. Tom, number 2, Alice.
Gorgeous.
Madness. Ooh, gorgeous. All right. Chris, number 2, Killzone 3, Battlefield 3.
Addictive.
Addictive. Tom, number 1, Terraria.
Freedom.
Freedom. Chris, number 1,
Freedom.
had dropped.
Scrim.
Absorbing.
Absorbing. All right.
All right. So
We learned a
Yay.
lot about your guys' mental psyches.
and
just
your
now.
limited vocabulary.
And your limited-
which
You know,
was
I should have just
unexpected.
done like good,
Good.
good,
Good.
Great.
pretty good. Ah,
good.
2 words.
Good. Shell. Good. Shell. Good. Shell.
How do you describe Mario Kart 7? It's Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I need 2
exactly.
words.
And yet you gave it an 8.5. What was that about?
I gave it an 8, and
Oh,
it's because it's
sorry.
another. It's better than certain unnamed Nintendo 64 Mario Kart
No,
games.
that's true. Dude, that Mario Kart tournament that
Yeah.
you hosted. What was the game that was awful that I failed at miserably?
Mario Kart 64.
That's the one.
That is a
That game just does not hold up
You
at all.
guys
So
all
bad.
failed at that game, and the commenters were like, "Did none of you even know you were going to be playing this game? Did you not prepare at all?"
did
It's
not
a-
prepare at
It's
all.
I mean, one commenter did point out like we were playing 4 different Mario Karts that all control pretty differently, and
Yeah.
there's a little adjustment.
Right.
Mhm.
But 64 is just like a balls.
It's all
A plate of
the-
balls.
Well, it was
basically.
Double Dash that
Balls
you
on
were
ya.
like, "I'm
Double
still
Dash.
figuring out how to play this game."
I
2
know.
races in.
It was weird. I didn't even get to the point where I was like switching between the Luigi and the Waluigi. I don't know. It was bad. I don't know.
That tournament was fun though.
That
Turned
tournament
out
was fun.
turned out pretty well.
It turned out pretty. It was a gross use of resources. I think we had 12 editors spending
Oh, yeah.
6 hours on it.
Oh yeah, and at the beginning, Tom was like, "Yeah, we'll be in there for like an hour. We'll be
Well,
in and out. You
I
guys
had a
can."
schedule for 2 hours, and it lasted 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
But,
It was.
It was grueling.
It was fun though.
Yeah.
I
I'll
mean,
spend an
it's fun.
afternoon playing Mario Kart. What do I care?
the commentary got a little punchy when the
bit.
delirium really started to set in.
Poor St. Louis.
Yeah, poor, I really went after St. Louis.
I think at one point you might have been thinking they're gonna cut around this, but I'm just gonna keep talking anyways.
about St. Louis.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Man. All right,
That's
so with the Game of the Year wrapped up, what do you guys expect for 2012? Let's start with. That's pretty broad.
You can't. That's not
Pretty
even a
broad.
question. You can.
How
The end of the
about
world. I
what's-
would expect the end of the world. Is that what you want to hear?
That's a pretty grim expectation.
Well,
What are you doing?
it's
What are
December
you doing to prepare for
was-
that?
Yeah.
How
I
are
was
you-
actually
how are you
watching,
changing
like-
your life?
I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Me too.
Anyway, so let's start with first hardware. Do you guys have any expectations for hardware?
I don't.
Do you guys
I-
expect a new PlayStation and a new Xbox.
I expect a
to
new
be announced.
I expect a new Xbox
To be announced.
To be announced.
You're not talking about released, right?
I'm just
not-
talking about being announced.
Definitely announced.
I expect the new Xbox. I'm going to do it. I'll predict it. New Xbox announced at E3 out this holiday season. That's my guess.
Really?
But we'll know everything about it before E3.
Oh, it'll all get leaked before E3.
Right. I mean, arguably all those leaks have already started because they've said, or people have said that, oh, it's totally coming out at the end of 2013 and the end of 2014 and the end of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Why do you think it's going to be coming out or going to be announced this year? Is it just like a response? Like Microsoft feels like they need to respond to Nintendo?
I just like predicting things.
Okay.
I like assigning
Throwing them out to the
arbitrary
ether.
dates
Okay.
to wild guesses.
Yeah, seriously. Announced in June, released in November. That's how many months? 6? 5. That's like 5 months.
Yeah.
What console in the history has there ever been a gaming release that has been announced just 5 months before?
Well, the most
Didn't the-
successful company in the world right now, Apple, turns stuff out that quickly.
Right,
So,
but
I
that's a
mean,
totally different
it's a different
market.
It's a different thing, but I
No.
mean, it's possible if they have enough. I was gonna say if Microsoft had enough first-party support, but their first-party support is
Didn't they do that
Pretty
with
crap.
Eye roll.
Didn't they do that with the
Really
Sega
bad.
Saturn? Wasn't that like announced and it's available?
which one?
The Saturn?
The Saturn was supposed to come out like September or something, and they released it in May, but it was announced before that. It just had a surprise
Oh, okay.
launch.
I see. So they announced the date of the launch and that it's available like right now. But they did something goofy with it.
It was supposed to come out like in the fall, and then all of a sudden they're like, it's actually out right now, and then the retailers are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But if it launches this fall, what's the game like? Is Halo 4
Well,
a
Halo
launch
4.
title?
Yeah,
for
that's a
it?
launch
And
title
that's-
no matter when it comes out.
Yeah.
On second thought, pretty dumb prediction on my part. The Xbox is still selling really well.
Yeah.
They introduced the new form factor. That was last year, right?
That was
the Black Slim?
20.
Slim.
Was that
20
2010?
Yeah,
was
that
that 2011?
I thought that was not. It was.
I think that's 2010.
It was. I mean,
So
Still quite
what I
re-
think
yeah,
is
I
going to
think you're
happen is I think that we're not going to get a new Xbox, but we are going to get a new Kinect, which will have a Xbox tie-in. Like I feel like the hardware that's been in the rumor cycle has been more of we're going to reboot the Xbox with a Kinect, a more integrated Kinect component to it.
What if they just do two different systems? Because like the idea of a Kinect system is scary to me because I like actual video games.
Right.
So what if they just had like, here's the Kinect and then here's the Xbox, and they're two different things, Xbox 3 and the Kinect box. Couldn't they just do that?
Well, I feel like the thing with the Kinect is, I mean, we've gotten weird rumors that it'll be able to recognize the way that your mouth is moving or your facial expressions to the point where you can, I don't know, presumably control the game in the way that you would want to control a game with the Kinect. But
yeah. Well, if like the voice commands in Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary or anything to go on, they've got a long way to go.
they do have a long way to go. I mean, I question whether it's a firmware or software, or a software or hardware thing with Kinect. But that's just do you guys think that there will be? I'm speaking to you two. Do you think there's going to be a new console this year, Shay? Or
Well, I mean, we're getting the Wii U.
We're getting the Wii U.
right? So that is a new console.
from Microsoft.
From
Let's just
Microsoft
stick to
specifically.
Microsoft.
No way, we're
No.
getting
No.
a new Xbox this year. I think that'd be crazy.
No announcement either.
But at the same time, what is coming out for the 360?
Halo.
Halo 4.
Fable.
I consider that. I just assume that's an Xbox 3.
Oh.
What's the way we can call the new system that's not
No,
confusing?
I'm pretty sure they've already said that it's going to be on the Xbox.
So they're gonna have a
360.
trilogy
Yeah.
of Halo games, and the first one's gonna be on the Xbox 360, and the next two are gonna be on the 720.
Seems likely.
Okay, I disagree, but we'll see what happens in reality. I
You
think all
don't
three
think-
will be on one system.
You think all three will be on one?
Yeah.
I mean, they spanned hardware with the first trilogy.
This is very true.
So I don't know. I mean, I think Halo 4, you gotta like sell people on the fact that like you were still going strong with Halo with this new trilogy, and this is going places that's cool. So I don't know if I'm not sure I see it as a launch title, especially because I mean, are we expecting it this year? They teased it. They teased it last year.
I'm trying to remember. I'm
I
pretty
think it's
sure
supposed to
this
come out
year.
this
They
year.
teased it last year at
Pretty
E3. They show it again this year at E3, get people hyped up. I think this year.
Nearly positive it's this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sony, do we expect them to make anything exciting in the hardware realm?
The Vita.
The Vita?
I'm scared
That's
for
happening.
Sony.
Are you scared for Sony?
I think the Vita's gonna bomb, and I'm
Vita is all-
worried. I'm really because I I love Sony, and I'm really
Yeah.
worried about like their future if the Vita bombs.
No, we can jump to this because so the Vita came out in Japan
Yep.
in December, and the first week sales pretty good, 300 some odd thousand.
On par with the 3DS.
Yeah, pretty good. So second week sales less than 100,000.
Yeah, it was like 74,000.
Fifth best selling console or or device in Japan during the week.
Oh, really?
Substantially lower. And I don't know, my theory or my thinking there is like if Japan can't get behind this, they really expect North America to be able to get
See, the
behind
thing,
this?
like the problem for Sony is they have so many great games. Like I think we all recognize their
Yeah.
first party lineup is just obscenely good.
Definitely.
They don't have anything that's huge though. They have a lot of like big-ish
For the-
franchises.
For the Vita?
For the Vita?
No, just Sony. Like I mean,
Oh.
Gran Turismo is probably their biggest franchise, and that probably sells about 10 million.
God of War?
10, yeah. I'm talking about like Nintendo has Mario and Zelda, and
Okay.
Mario Kart and Smash Brothers and Wii. They can sell hardware just because their core lineup is so good. It doesn't actually matter anything else. They have Mario Kart.
Right.
Sony doesn't have a Mario Kart. They've God of War, which sells 3 million. They have Uncharted, which sells 3 million. They have a bunch of like 3 million, 5 million sellers, but they don't have the big thing.
Right. Well, I'm not sure Microsoft does either. I mean,
Yeah.
Microsoft has
is-
Halo, which
they do
I guess
have
we'll
Halo.
see.
And Gears of War.
and Gears of War. But
I mean, that was pretty huge.
But
for
yeah, I
them.
mean that's the thing I fear about the Vita is that like I don't think that portable gaming is that strong right now,
Mhm.
and Nintendo can get away with it because they have Mario.
uh,
I don't know if Vita's going to be able to have the success, and that's what worries me.
and by portable gaming, I'm sure you mean just game
Dedicated
specific.
gaming
dedicated,
devices,
yeah.
Well, so here's an interesting. All right, so you think about the first week and then the second week drop off. The first week, that's all the I'm already sold before the system
Yep.
is launching. I'm gonna buy it. The second week, I feel like that drop off is just if I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna buy it. But then you have now these things are out in the wild. Now people are getting to see them, and I don't know how much of an influence this has. I know. Let's compare to like the 3DS launch. They had these trucks going around showing these things off. Like sales were pretty lackluster
Right.
to start off, but haven't they shipped close to like a couple million?
4
now?
million now.
So the thing that I've noticed there is that the Vita currently is priced at I wrote this down somewhere.
250.
250.
It's in Japan it comes out to be about 325 for the base model and almost 400 for the 3G model, whereas the 3DS now costs 195. And I mean, the only reason why Nintendo is now selling 3DSs is because they knocked a third of the price off.
Well, that's not the only reason. They
No,
also
that
have
is the only reason.
No, now there are Mario games available.
there are
for
more
it.
Mario
Yeah.
games. Yes,
Yeah.
that is a big time reason. But yeah, I mean the price is obviously going to be a factor
Right.
also.
So yeah, I'm wondering, and I feel like this is an inevitability at this point, that the Vita has to come down in price if Sony is.
It
gonna
should
be
launch at
competitive.
199 instead of 250 for one.
Wow.
But I mean, it'll sell well initially. Like it'll have that like 300 to 500,000 in America because it has Uncharted, which is going to be really cool. I bet.
Yeah.
And there are that many Uncharted fans. But then I guess what happens from there?
Right. And then
How do you draw them in? And also, when you have the price point of 250, 300, you're talking about going directly against Android, iOS devices that are more expensive, but people can get subsidized by getting cell phone contracts. And so I can get that for cheaper. And it also does all this other stuff and, doesn't have these sticks sticking out of it. And,
Right. I mean, there was that one report from some shady website, not shady, but that there was
Some
like
website that's not GameSpot.
Right. 7 million Android and iOS devices activated on Christmas Day alone, which I guess when I'm matching that up to the Vita, it's mind-boggling that Sony is even still competing in this realm. But the other point I wanted to make is that the PS3 kind of had the same issue where it came in at this astronomically high price point, and it wasn't until they started bringing down the price that the PS3 started moving
And
systems.
games. I mean,
And
they're
games.
all linked. Like people will
Yeah.
spend $600 for an iPad too because they really like the iPad. I mean, I
Right.
think that's what much it costs, right? I mean, there's no reason to buy a PS3 at launch.
Right.
You need to get Uncharted 2 and all that stuff out before it's worth buying.
And it can't even be considered like just a cool device to own anymore because the smartphone market is now the cool device to own. Like the Vita is now just a gaming device, so it lives or dies by the quality of those games.
That's all marketing. They could probably market successfully.
Yeah,
Somehow.
but I mean,
they can make it
the
cool.
novelty is severely diminished. The novelty of a touchscreen, like,
Right.
okay, the novelty of dual
But what
analog
about
sticks in a
tickling the
hand.
goatsy? Like that's a novel.
Oh,
Tickling.
the undertickle?
The undertickle.
The undertickle.
Tickling the goatsy. If you
think-
do it with 2 fingers, you're tickling the goatsy.
I don't know if that's. Let's go with undertickle. It's a little bit more family friendly.
Caress pad.
As
Caress
long as
pad.
we can just kind of do things like this.
Yeah, as long as you can do this while you're playing a video game, that's okay.
That seems like it might actually have some.
Climb up the rope.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm zooming in on my sniper rifle.
Am I overly pessimistic about the Vita?
No.
I really want the Vita and the 3DS to sell gangbusters. Like that would be
Why?
like my.
Why do you want that?
Because I like Nintendo and Sony a lot, and I want and
You wish success for them and their continued
and I,
development
I
of games.
like the games that they make, and I like portable games are different than console games, and I like playing those games.
Mhm.
So I want them to exist. Like I don't want portable stuff just to be the Android and iOS stuff. I want it to be a little more deeper than that.
Are you gonna buy Vita?
Probably not. I don't have a 3DS yet, but I mean I might at some point.
I mean, the thing with the portable and iOS and being deeper is like if you look at a game that was one of our like what was our mobile game of the year? Sword and
Super Brothers.
Sorcerer,
Super Brothers.
yeah.
Yeah. So that game actually looked like it had some real substantive depth to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then my theory all along with this is just as these phones, as technology does what it does, phones are going to be as powerful as, it's going to get to the point where they can get as much power into the size of the phone as you have into a Vita or a
Yeah, I
3DS.
guess it's more than power. I mean, I do still like buttons and
Buttons.
D-pads. Like that is important for me. I mean, Kirby Canvas Curse is one of my favorite games, and of course that's all touchscreen. But I mean, there's a lot of other
Right.
great games that are not.
You're just a known hater of alternative
No, I
control schemes.
I just said Kirby. I just said Kirby's like my favorite game on the DS, like
Right.
individual non-Phoenix Wright game. It's all touchscreen.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do like having buttons. Like I want to play Uncharted Abyss. Is it called Golden Abyss?
Yeah.
Golden Abyss.
With like buttons. Like that's something you can't do on an Android.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
Actually, there is an Android phone, the Sony Xperia Play, which does.
all
have-
right.
This is actually true, and you
Yeah.
can plug in your DualShock to like the Galaxy Tab or something. But let's just ignore
Right.
Ignore this erroneous information.
ignore facts for a
Facts.
second.
Just for a second. We can get back to those later, but for now, sit on it. Anything for the PS3 that you guys can see happening this year other than games?
I was gonna predict Twisted Metal. I wanted
Wow.
to be right about something. I think it's gonna-
Presumably, Jesus
Go with the
Christ,
sure
I can't
bet.
imagine.
That game's scheduled for February, I think.
Yeah, I think it's
it'll come
should
out.
be out sometime before
My
the end of-
prediction.
Yeah, I hope The Last Guardian actually comes out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even though everybody has quit at that studio.
Yeah, everybody has quit,
They're
and
just like,
GameStop was like,
"Peace."
"Well, you can't pre-order it here anymore." And I mean, I'm worried about that game, but until we actually see more of it, I'm gonna reserve some hope.
Yeah, the never-ending story component of it has just made me not feel anything for that game.
You kind
I-
of have to understand Sony's decision to like not want to work with the guy
Yeah.
Ueda,
Wait.
because like
Ueda.
he's like his games, it's like artistic brilliance, but they take 7 years to come out.
They
Probably don't
don't
sell a
sell
whole heck of a
all
lot.
that.
No,
well.
I mean Shadow of the Colossus eventually sold like 1 million or something, but it was also price cuts and huge install base and stuff. But it's like they're just losing money with it. You have to release games 5 years, we'll say. Like, that seems reasonable.
But that's a good question. All right, let's look back to last year's E3. What was Sony and Microsoft pushing? I mean, Kinect was a huge thing, and
Move and Kinect.
also. So
Move
Vita.
was not a big part of their lineup. Vita they were pushing, and then like we have tons and tons and tons of games. That was what they were doing, but it wasn't Move stuff. They didn't show Sorcery, remember?
That's true.
That's
they,
right.
They
Wait,
definitely were
where are
very
we talking
much-
about?
like
E3.
E3 last year, for example.
Yeah.
So
They
look ahead to
pushed
mid-year.
Move pretty heavily. At
They had like
E3
the
last year.
3D TV thing for a while.
3D was a big
So-
thing.
Sony's
They pushed Move really heavily.
Sony's push was that we do everything. So they did a little bit of Move, a little bit of 3D, a little bit of we have every game ever. Like they did everything.
And they also just they did
Vita.
have a very heavy push on their Q4 lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The games that were coming
So
out.
what's it going to be this year? Same story from Sony? I mean, are we going to see this
This
revised
kind of
Kinect? Like, what's going to be the big selling point for these systems, these consoles here?
yeah. I mean and this kind of goes into another question I was going to ask you guys. Like 2011 was the year of threes. Is 2012 going to be the year of fours? Like, do you
Halo-
guys feel like
Halo
you're just
4?
gearing up
Name
to play
another
the
4
same?
besides Halo 4.
Well, you could call
But-
the new Fable game Fable 4.
Right. Well, I mean, by that I mean
It's the fourth Fable, but it's Longest
is.
Road or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
by that I mean another
Longest
year
Road? There's no way
The
it's called
Journey.
full
Fable,
of
The Journey.
sequels.
Not the Longest Road.
Not the longest road.
The longest road.
It's a bad name for a
Okay,
game.
so
The
and it's
question
not,
is, do you guys feel like you're just gearing up to play sequels all year long?
No.
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 Okay.
What games make
Period.
you think that?
There we go.
Let's see.
Well, we did a list every year. The reviews team hands in 10 games we want to review.
Yeah.
It's a tradition.
So here, I'm going to read.
My list of 10 games included literally 0 sequels.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm going to read.
One of them was a pseudo sequel, but it's not a sequel.
Okay,
What is
I'm
it?
going to read
Fable the
what we
Journey.
have, our top games of 2012 that we did in our Game of the Year Most Anticipated page. BioShock Infinite, which is the 3rd, Diablo 3, which is the 3, Dota 2, which is kind of a new, it's not quite new, it's a little different.
It's the second Dota.
Yeah, but Dota was something very, I don't know.
It's a
we'll
weird
give it a
one.
maybe.
It is, yeah. It's
I'll
a-
give you a
Far
word.
Cry 3, Final Fantasy 13-2, which is asinine, Grand Theft Auto 5, Guild Wars 2, Halo 4, Hitman a Million,
Absolution.
Last Guardian, which may or may not still exist,
But it's a new IP.
Mass Effect 3, Max Payne 3, Metal Gear a Million, Prototype 2,
Metal Gear
Secret
Rising? Are you including Metal Gear? I mean, that's
Rising Revengeance.
that's as close as you're gonna. I mean, because it's all new gameplay with a new studio at least.
Okay, maybe.
But we'll say a spin-off.
It's with an established IP, but yeah, it is totally. It's not the same kind of gameplay you're
Yeah,
gonna see.
It's at least a spin-off.
Yeah.
StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm,
Brand new IP.
Street Fighter X10, which is basically Street Fighter a Million.
That's-
Tomb Raider a Million.
That's a reboot, completely different from the other ones. at
Tom
least.
Clancy's Ghost Recon a Million, and Twisted Metal 5 or 4, whatever it is. So
Are
we
you
have,
including Small Brawl?
I'm including Small Brawl.
You don't include Small Brawl.
I just
it's
spit
Twisted,
all over the microphone when I
it's
said
Twisted
that.
Metal 4 is the
That's my
correct
bad.
answer. This is the real Twisted Metal 4.
So I guess with that said, these are obviously the games that have gotten, the biggest hype from publishers. I presume that they'll be announcing new IP.
Well,
But
there's the big one for me is The Last of Us.
Got
Last
it.
of Us.
Nice work, Tom.
Last
I
of Us.
don't get titles right. That one I'm excited because it's Enslaved meets Dead Rising, whatever it is. It looks cool.
Still don't understand the whole enslaved connection
Some
for you.
dude
One
who
guy,
knows a dude-
one guy who worked at Ninja Theory
You love
before.
it. You love that I bring it
I
up.
mean,
as
it's like a pair of people trying to survive in a hostile place. They are differently abled. They have an emotional connection.
They're both handicapped.
Differently able. They have different
There is a little bit of a
skill
mental
sets.
retardation.
Let me
going on.
rephrase that.
both of them are.
They have different
Light
skill sets from
sprinkling of
each
retardation.
Oh my god.
Continue, Chris.
So I can
Waters.
see that being
Yeah.
that parallel.
Plus, there's one dude who worked on both games,
Right.
well, then there's also Dishonored.
okay.
Yeah.
which
Dishonored
looks
looks
really good. I mean, that's like Half-Life combined with Deus Ex as far as former people, right? Is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Maybe.
Well, I mean, yeah, you look.
The
look at
artist from Half-Life.
yeah.
And you can kind of see the
You can see
influence.
the echoes of City 17 and all the concept art for that game very
Yes.
easily.
We might have I Am Alive this year. That Ubisoft game.
That is a definite. That should be
Yep.
coming up by February or March at
which
the
is
latest.
now like an Xbox Live game.
It's but I've been pumped for that for years.
Yeah.
I'm from Chicago, so just
You-
Chicago in ruins is
You
great.
want to see your hometown burn.
I want to
Horrible
see my
ruin.
old apartment building on
You
its
want
side.
to be able to burn it down.
No, I don't. I want
No.
to save it.
Okay. Fine. So I guess I don't know.
I mean, there's others. I put that Fifth Cell they are developing Hybrid. I
oh,
believe it's the
Hybrid actually
third-person
looks
shooter.
pretty good. That's true.
There's another third-person shooter I put on my list that I forget the name of.
I'm looking
currently.
forward to Blades of Time, which is a pseudo sequel to X Blades, but
Oh, it's a sequel.
it's not
It's a
really
sequel.
though. Not really. Blades
Will
of
the
Time.
got the
protagonist
same-
have pants?
It's got
Nope.
the
Yes.
same protagonist.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
It's all new gameplay, which
Thank
is why it looks
God.
interesting.
Okay.
It's DMC with like time mechanics, basically.
All right. So we can get back to this, but I wanted to finish up with the hardware because we didn't hit Nintendo.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we have Nintendo's.
All right, Nintendo.
Nintendo's the one that has
Get ready for it.
the Wii U, which is presumably coming out probably this summer. It sounds like.
It's not
Play
coming
your
out this
big
summer. You
Game
think it's coming
Gear.
out before like September 25th?
I'm pretty sure they've announced it for coming out this summer.
Okay.
Really?
I would be surprised if it comes out before the end of September, but that'd be cool, I guess.
Maybe.
Maybe?
I'm
Are they going? I mean, like the 3DS released, well before the holiday season,
Yeah.
and then sold well in the holiday season. Had some time to get some traction, maybe, and they're thinking the same thing for the Wii U.
possibly, although the 3DS didn't really gain traction
Yeah,
until the
did it?
holiday season.
Right.
So I don't know. Do you guys have any updated impressions of the Wii U? We haven't really heard anything new about the Wii U. We haven't been
No.
seeing any games from Nintendo on the Wii U. I mean, Sean, have we gotten any previews for Wii U games?
No,
No.
no.
That's probably
The last
odd.
we saw of it is far as I know, were just the tech demos at E3.
Mm-hmm. It should be at CES.
It is going to be at CES, but it is the same stuff from E3.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So
Yeah, they're not going to show off anything until E3.
Right.
And apparently it's supposed to be a relaunch at E3, like a
relaunch.
reintroduction to what it is.
Because it got some
Do
pretty...
you think they're going to change the name?
I hope they change the name. But
Then you can't make the ambulance
you know how
sounds.
much we said about the Wii, and then like that thing was out for a few
Boom.
months, and everybody forgot about how stupid that name was, and we
But
don't even
the
think
Wii
twice
U-
about it anymore.
The Wii U was stupid but also brilliant. Or the Wii was stupid but also brilliant.
Yeah.
The Wii U? I mean, that's just...
How
like-
is that any different? They're both
Because it's basically-
remarkably stupid.
it's more difficult to market. That's the biggest problem. Because the 3DS, a lot
because
of
of the
people think
extra
it's...
letter.
People think
Yeah,
that
the extra letter is dumb.
people think the 3DS is a 3D version of the DS when it's not. It's an all new system.
Right.
That's the problem with the Wii U is people are going to be confused and think it's just like, oh, it's a tablet for my Wii. It's
Right.
harder for Nintendo to
Oh,
market
that's
that,
a
which
good
is
point.
which is the thing
Yeah.
that scares
Okay,
me. 'cause I
say,
want
did
people
we
to
That's
know.
a good point.
I mean,
That's a good
Xbox
point.
and Xbox 360, those have about as much in common as Wii and Wii U.
Yeah.
But then,
PlayStation 2. I guess the number. I don't know.
There's
But
something
yeah, I
very
mean-
differentiating with a number as opposed to a letter.
Yeah.
And also the form factor of the Wii U,
Looks
as we
like the
saw
Wii.
it, looks like a
similar.
slightly sanded
And
Wii.
you can use the Wii controllers. Like it's
And so they'll be showing that in that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That
And
people just
Nintendo
think like,
has-
oh, it's a peripheral I get for my Wii, and then
Right. Nintendo has a very long history of releasing the same system with a slimmed down.
Yeah.
All game companies. But
Yep.
if you look at like the DS, the original fat DS as compared
and
to
the DS Lite and the DS XL
I
and the DSi. Yeah.
Right. So
That's what they do.
it makes sense that they would,
They
there
should
would be a
rebrand
lot
it.
of brand confusion there.
Yeah.
I am truly interested to see when they start ramping up like legitimate game announcements. Not, hey, we've talked to these guys and they've indicated that they are willing to research and develop their
Yeah.
game.
and also let us display their logo at E3.
Right.
Well, all we
Look
know
at
right
all
now-
these game companies who we've called.
Right.
Yeah, I guess
Hey,
all
could
we
you
know
send
right
us
now
some
is
press
like
assets?
we know ports. I guess it's something like Batman will be on, or
Yeah, we know ports like Darksiders 2, I think,
But that's not-
Batman,
yeah.
but like original like games that are
Dirt. They're
built
gonna put a
for,
dirt game on there.
Yeah, they're gonna put some dirt on it.
well, they're not going to announce. I mean,
But like games that are
Nintendo's-
built for the Wii U from the ground up,
Yeah.
I want to know more about those games, and I don't know about those games.
Nintendo doesn't want us to know yet, though. They're not ready.
But
for
I
prime
want
time.
to know
I
about them. I want to.
Right.
So
And
are they going to launch? You think with just the same old IPs? Or you think we'll actually get something?
see what I'm really upset about with the Wii U is we are not. I guarantee you, we're not gonna get an HD Zelda because of Skyward Sword, because that only came out.
Oh, we'll get one in 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. But that's
At launch, but not at launch.
that's
It'll
kinda
be like a year or two until the 3DS Zelda comes out, and then a year or two after that will be the Wii U one.
Right.
That's fine.
Do you think they're going to be smart enough at least to launch a legitimate Super Mario title with the Wii U?
Unless they have a new development team on it. As far as I know, Nintendo Tokyo is still the Mario team, and they just released a 3DS Mario, which is
Right.
weird to me. So I don't know. I mean, we'll probably get a retro game.
Yeah.
They haven't released anything since Donkey Kong Returns.
You'll get a
Yeah.
collection of me-focused games,
We
including
saw those.
Chase Me
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And that was a good tech demo. That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems like Nintendo's got to have some new IPs. I mean, they had the
Yeah.
Wii Blank.
So what? Okay, what was Nintendo's last new IP that really took
Pikmin?
off?
Pikmin or Wii Blank, if you consider the Wii Blank stuff IP.
Wii Blank. Oh, like Wii Sports.
Yeah.
Wii
Sports, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
but
I would
maybe.
consider that.
Before that would be Pikmin.
Pikmin.
Yeah. The Wii U definitely needs its. We're going to get something that's probably like Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort.
Well, that's the Chase Me
Sure.
and the Battle Me, whatever they're called.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what they were called.
I'm curious to see how. I mean, I assume that those will actually be pretty fun.
Oh, they're really fun. But
Yeah,
that's not.
for sure.
I guess we want something a little more in depth. We want to see what they can do with it. But those are really fun party games.
And I mean, what did the Wii sell on? The strength of Wii Sports.
Wii Sports, exactly. Yeah.
So
This will be a similar thing.
So
I don't
it'll-
know.
yeah.
I'm excited. I'd be very happy if they launched with like a Twilight Princess HD. Like that would actually excite me. Even though that game has issues, it looked gorgeous from what they showed, and I would play it again.
And you're excited because of the games and not the tablet. Is that accurate or fair?
Usually, when the case of Nintendo, their hardware is just a means for me to play their games. Like I don't really ultimately care what they do. I just want to play Nintendo games.
Yeah.
They're very good at making games.
Is anybody interested in this tablet?
I'm intrigued by it. I think that allowing that sort of asymmetrical multiplayer stuff where I'm, you know, I have this view that you guys can't see, but we're all competing. That is a really cool thing. I think that, having there was a Tom Clancy online, like Ghost Recon Online, they showed it there, and the shooting and movement mechanics were really rough, but having a shooter where you've got like your little gadgets here is kind of cool. Like you launch your UAV and then you can pop it up in the sky and you can still move around because you're seeing the video feed here. I think that
So it doesn't bother you that you've got two screens effectively that aren't even close to your eye, like looking down, looking up.
I mean, when I was playing the tech demo, it didn't really bother me.
you.
I mean, that's a sort of a gameplay design balance, right? You need to design it so that either you're looking here, you're looking there, or you're looking there with like, this is supplemental, and it's simple enough to interact with and use without detracting from whatever the main thrust of the gameplay experience is. But I'm intrigued. It doesn't mean that I like trust that at launch there's going to be some real compelling stuff.
There will be at least one really compelling thing because
Do you
Nintendo
think
needs to
Chase
push
Me
that.
was it?
No, I don't. I think that what this opens the door for, and Sean will probably like this too. There's gonna be a lot of griefing.
Okay.
Because there's gonna be like Sean and Chris and you will have a Wii remote playing on the big screen, and then I will have the tablet and I will be the grief master who is messing with
You're
everything.
essentially the DM for...
This is gonna be a big thing you're gonna see with the multiplayer stuff. Is where I get to like drop stuff in on you and I get to mess with stuff, and I think that's gonna be crazy awesome.
There are already a lot that is precedented in the mini games in like a Mario Party or a Wii.
I know.
Whatever. It'll be 1-on-3, and
I like the idea of Dungeons and Dragons on the Wii U because that just fits so well with like the DM having the control, and it's a good mechanic. I like Dungeons and Dragons, even though it makes
this is my prediction for the Wii U and why it's going to be like the best.
If they go with that, man.
If they go with that, that will be
same
awesome.
room multiplayer. It's gonna happen. I mean, I just thought about this. Other developers are looking at this and going, "Oh my god, we can grief the hell out of people."
Yeah.
So this is it. This is my dream.
Does the idea of multiple tablets intrigue you guys, or
is that confirmed?
No.
Okay.
I don't even think it's physically possible at this point.
I think they've hinted at the idea that two might be possible,
right?
But they've sort of like tiptoed around the idea. I think I agree with Chris though. I like the asymmetry aspect of it the most because that's something that's never really that hasn't been done.
It was the GBA
before.
Connectivity was the closest we got.
Yeah.
That Pac-Man game is so good.
Or Pac-Man Versus.
Or like picking your plays in NFL 2K on your little VMU on the Dreamcast. That was like
changed everything.
Yeah, changed the entire football experience. No, I mean, I'm like Chris. I think I'm more intrigued by asymmetrical multiplayer with one guy has something that other people don't than the idea of two people going head to head with the same sort of tablet controller. Because then, I don't know. That doesn't really excite me.
Come on, we'd finally have a truly appropriate and well-crafted video game version of Battleship.
That is accurate.
Very true.
A game that has been begging for
even better than the
to be
CDI
made into
version.
a movie.
Okay, let's wrap up this discussion. And there was a point of news that I wanted to get to this week. The ESA is now in favor of the Stop Online Piracy Act. Do you guys know much about this?
Yes. Please recap. But
SOPA.
Yes.
SOPA. So basically, what this is, and it's one of these things where I can read it. I understand what this bill says, but then as far as what are the implications here or what it's not saying, that's where pretty much all the argument is. So basically what the bill does is it's a DRM, you can think of it that way, for the internet, whereby a company can go, say there's some, copyrighted content on GameSpot. Then a private corporation or the U.S. government can file or petition the court to say, hey, you guys need to step in because they're violating our copyright. And there, the court can either shut down all of your revenue streams, such as ad networks or your ability to use PayPal or something, or they can have they can go to ISPs and say, hey, blacklist this. You can make it unaccessible.
Yeah. They can order the site to be taken down, just like on the spot like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or it can be removed from search engines. If there is a complaint and it's not immediately addressed by the allegedly infringing website.
So let's get an example of like intended use and possible misuse.
So intended use is
like BitTorrent site or something?
Yes. One other key point
Sorry to
about
interrupt
this.
that.
No, it's fine. It's one other key point is it's aimed at websites like Pirate Bay, where it's offshore. It's not in the U.S. And the purpose of that website is to disseminate copyrighted material. That's what it's supposed to be. So there's a lot of controversy around this to say where corporations like it a lot and anyone who uses the internet likes it not at all. The primary concern around corporations is that they feel like it is a effective way for them to take the nuclear option for protecting their content. They argue that, you know, they need some way to have a really big stick that they can hit violating websites with. And they say, oh, yes, this is a big stick, but we're responsible and we'll...
Trust us.
Yeah, trust us, and it'll all work out fine.
And to be fair, torrent sites and all this stuff cost corporations millions of dollars every year.
Cost corporations, and I feel like there's a legitimate claim to say that there are jobs lost. There's definitely revenue lost.
Mm-hmm.
Piracy is... I don't think you're going to find anybody who says piracy is a good thing.
Yeah,
it
I
makes...
think you will.
Piracy. Well,
yeah, sure.
If you're a pirate, perhaps you may believe that piracy is a good thing. Any content creator will definitely not want to have their thing stolen, or if they're trying to make a living off of it, then they want to protect it.
Yeah.
Which that makes sense to me. But so, and then on the opposite end, people like Google and Facebook and Twitter, they argue that the application of this law is, or of this bill is, it'll have an effect where it'll chill innovation, because if you try to do anything that empowers your users, invariably somebody is going to throw something up, and you're going to have to, and you'll end up being bankrupted because some other corporation will come in and throw a lot of money at a lawsuit and just destroy you. So that's, and there are a lot of, free speech is another issue. They say that, you know, it's essentially sanitizing the internet, so you can't really say anything. There are a lot of issues surrounding it. I would encourage you all to go to the Wikipedia page, because the Wikipedia page is actually very...
Sorry.
What did you do?
Computer shut down.
Weird. Go to the Wikipedia page, because I feel like there's actually a fairly balanced look at this law, and this is one of those areas where a lot of people are watching it, so the Wikipedia is very well updated. I don't like this bill, which is an easy thing for me to say. But the reason why I don't like this bill is I am looking at all of the ways in which video game companies have tried to fight piracy over the years. Like, we have seen a lot of like always-on DRM, the CD keys, the... give me examples. There are more. I'm sure you guys have.
That Russian company that had like 10 people employed in the United States, and they would have to physically come to your house to unlock the game, and otherwise you couldn't play it.
Is that true?
No.
Oh.
Those crazy Russians.
It's crazy Russian. I would believe it. I don't know. But anyway, so as much as the video game industry has tried to enact DRM, I would have totally believed you. I wouldn't do that.
10 people employed.
That's why it was so controversial.
I know.
They
for the
worked
travel
nothing.
budget of these people. I mean,
It was
you
all
have a
part of the
whole one
mafia.
person for the whole Northeast. It's just the logistics are.
Yeah, but anyway, so
Killer.
if you're looking at the ways in which video game companies have tried to enact DRM over the years for the game industry, they've just all failed miserably. The only people that have been impacted by these DRM measures are legitimate customers. It just makes our experience and our interaction with the game more cumbersome. Occasionally, you know, it'll render things unplayable. Like, there was that big thing with Star Wars, The Old Republic, where it was the collector's edition was shipping without activation codes, which is a little problematic for a game where you're paying, you know, month or day to day, essentially, month to month.
But all these previous DRM methods have been created by the game publishers themselves.
Right.
So how does it change that we're getting the government involved?
Right. So this strikes me as a very lazy approach to DRM. The way I feel like the whole piracy thing, and I realize that this is, I've thought about this more, and it kind of goes back on something that I thought was good once, but now no longer. Always on DRM seems like the way that has been fairly successful, pretty successful, when you've got these closed gardens with the App Store or Blizzard's Battle.net, those kind of things. They seem to be pretty successful when you're always validating anytime you log in. The problem there is there are people who don't, always have an internet connection, or there are various reasons why you can't access the internet. So it seems to me that if you're going to enact a good way to stop piracy, you need to not take the lazy, we're just going to throw some litigation at, or some legislation at it that a pirate will invariably be able to circumvent. But you need to create this infrastructure where always on DRM, always on persistent internet connections is very, very viable for, if not everyone, very nearly everyone. That seems like that is the answer for me.
That's the answer for games.
That is the answer for the internet as well.
Do you propose the same? Yeah. So if you're streaming a TV show or a movie,
right,
then to extend your proposal, Sony could be like, I boot up a Sony movie to watch on my PlayStation, and it sends a quick check, like,
right,
this dude's about to watch this movie. Is it cool? And Sony's like, yep, that's cool.
Right.
And then I can watch it.
That is basically what I'm proposing.
Okay. So
which works for a lot. I see what's going on in your head. So if it's text or something like that.
Oh, sure, but I mean, what you're proposing is essentially like a like Rooseveltian infrastructure overhaul of not just our country but of the world.
Right. That is what I'm proposing.
That's a great jobs bill that you got going there.
It is, right?
Yeah.
I could be employed for the government. South Korea did it, all right? If South Korea can do it, the United States can do it. That's all I'm saying.
That's good logic.
It's our motto. It's our new motto, isn't it?
It's a pretty good motto.
But the reason we got started down this SOPA road is
Right.
that ESA is supporting it.
Right. So the ESA is supporting it, and
The Entertainment Software Association.
the ESA is the gaming industry's largest representative body. Even though not all game company, Activision isn't a partner. Some of the biggest aren't. But the ESA is basically, they were the ones who were fighting the Supreme Court case for us. They're the ones who spend millions of dollars each quarter lobbying for gaming rights. And the ESA is in support of this bill. They issued a statement earlier this week saying that they believe that, just a quote from it, rogue websites, those singularly devoted to profiting from their blatant illegal piracy, restrict demand for legitimate video game products and services, thereby costing jobs. Which I fucking hate that whole just costing our jobs. I don't know. Pet peeve.
How do you think the dudes at
Gerbs.
CD Projekt Red feel when they find out that
Right.
4 million copies of their game have been pirated
no.
and one have sold? 1 million have sold.
I'm directly commenting on that phrase, and costing our jobs.
Sure.
Because it's just pandering. Anyway, back to ESA's comment. Our industry needs effective remedies to address this specific problem, and we support the House and Senate proposals to achieve this objective. We are mindful of concerns raised about a negative impact on innovation. We look forward to working with the House and Senate and all interested parties to find the right balance and define useful remedies to combat willful wrongdoers that do not impede lawful product and business model innovation. So, on the surface, it's like, okay, ESA is supporting SOPA. Everybody hates SOPA. ESA is evil. But when I'm reading the statement, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it would be nice if companies that have these concerns in mind are working with working with legislative bodies to create a better bill. Because admittedly, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the things about this bill. So I can't judge whether it's, stillborn. But do you guys, I don't know, do you see it from that way, that it's okay if they're backing it, if, they're keeping these things in mind? Or
It's this kind of bill where you are basically, you're granting this much power and saying we're only going to use this much and we'll totally do it in a responsible way.
Right.
And in the past decade of the government passing bills that grant them a lot of power and leeway and say that they're going to do this and be responsible, like, they don't have the best track record.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I think calls for do the work ahead of time, refine it, define it, and then make it worthy of passing into law is I mean, I support that impulse as opposed to, sure, like just let them do it. They'll work it out.
Right.
Everyone's going to be responsible. No one wants to stifle innovation here. That's you say that those nice words you can say all you want, but what comes down to is what is being passed into law and what you can do with that law.
Absolutely. My biggest problem is that this law essentially, it's like doing surgery with a shovel.
Yeah.
It's the companies are, ostensibly they're trying to highlight this one erroneous or this one part of a website that they take offense to, their copyrighted material. And in the process, they're granted the ability to shut down the entire website and completely eradicate that website's business.
Yeah. I mean, that's a serious problem for us, too, because I'm sure, like, there's a 12-year-old out there who's going to upload a Naruto kind of video, and then we could just be completely,
Yeah, exactly. He puts up a Naruto screenshot on his GameSpot blog, or somebody uploads 10 seconds of Naruto footage onto YouTube. YouTube is gone. A website like Reddit links to a funny screenshot of Naruto meme or something.
Everything is Naruto.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Those Naruto lawyers.
Yeah, Naruto is just ripe for copyright infringement. But then Reddit gets shut down. Dig gets shut down for linking to that. It's this heavy-handed, clumsy, just like bringing a nuke to a dodgeball fight kind of solution to these problems. And you look at the companies who have had the most success with combating piracy, those are the ones who have taken the most innovative business approach. Companies like, you've got like Riot with League of Legends, the free-to-play model. You've got Valve going free-to-play with Team Fortress 2 and selling hats and sustaining that business model. The companies who have been most successful combating piracy are the ones who have been the most innovative, the ones who have taken the most risk. And this is about as far away from encouraging innovation and risk-taking as you can possibly get. It's companies, sitting back and in their lounge chair just going, you know what? That guy might be pirating our game. Shut it down.
Blow it up.
Yeah, that website got our game. Shut it down. It's so heavy-handed.
Yeah.
It's so ham-fisted. That's my problem with this bill.
Yeah, you make a good point about the free-to-play stuff, because that does, now that you've made that point, I kind of retract my original point of always-on DRM, because, and in a way that kind of is an always-on kind of thing, because you're only really able to interact with, I'm trying to think of a free-to-play game that isn't online multiplayer. Can you guys think of any?
I mean,
I'm pretty sure writers or listeners, right? Tell me if there is a free-to-play game that is free-to-play microtransaction supported. I don't think it exists, but those are online games.
I mean, in order to support microtransactions, you have to have some kind of online connection at some point. It doesn't have to be reliable all the time, but you got to have that. You're not like filling out a catalog to write away for a code for someone to send back to you so you can download new hats.
Yeah,
but the free-to-play model, definitely, I mean, just looking at that on the surface, it's like, you want to give this away? It's very... And I think a lot of, like Hulu, a lot of TV networks are, okay, we're going to give this away, and we're still going to have this in our closed garden kind of place, but you're going to have to watch these ads, and there's going to be no way to TiVo through them or what have you.
Which I think is great. Like watching a TV show, I watch almost on my TV on Hulu Plus now, watching like 2 or 3 advertisements to take up a very small fraction of the time. Like, that works for me. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. So we kind of went long with the 2012. So I'm going to wrap this discussion. We will, as there are more developments in the SOPA thing, we will revisit it.
Of course.
We should mention that a lot of video game publishers have backed out or backed away from SOPA over the past few weeks.
True.
Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony.
Most, if not all, the big ones have at this point.
And we should also point out that GameSpot is owned by CBS, and like many other multinational media conglomerates, we support it officially.
CBS.
But
CBS
Corporation.
We do not
officially.
We do, I personally see Leslie Moonves does, though. Can I? We got this great email from Leslie Moonves. Like, I'm doing it. We got this crazy ass email. Like, I don't know.
Is this
6
one of
months
those
ago.
emails at the bottom that says this is company confidential, do
Oh,
not
is it?
disseminate publicly?
I don't think so.
Well, you should check before you
All
read
right,
it.
Yeah.
Fine.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
It was delightful. I'll leave it at that. We're gonna
It's a
move
good
on.
story.
Yeah.
Very good story.
Oh, rich and compelling.
Oh,
rich
Leslie Moonves.
and compelling.
I'm just trying to save some jobs.
No, I appreciate it. No filter on this guy. 10 years ago this week in reviews. We reviewed this game this week, but it came out actually 2 weeks before this week. So late December, 10 years ago. 8.1. When the original was released for the PlayStation, it turned heads due to its slick character design, courtesy of anime artist Katsuya Kondo, its impressive graphics, and an interesting gameplay element that allowed players to capture monsters and breed them into a wide variety of creatures. While the actual game didn't quite gel and become more than the sum of its engaging components, it still managed to be a solid game. Developer Genki has drawn on the strengths of the original for the game's PlayStation 2 sequel. The end result is a beautiful game that manages to have the appeal of its predecessor and winds up being both frustrating and addicting at the same time.
Monster Rancher?
Monster Hunter?
Nope.
Digimon.
Dragon
No.
Quest Monsters?
No.
That's more recent.
Genki?
Scion of that.
Nothing. Jade Cocoon 2.
Ooh.
It's a tough one.
Have you heard of that?
Wow.
I've heard of Jade Cocoon. I didn't know they made a sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was apparently better. I like that this review has all of these expressions that are now expressly forbidden in GameSpot's current review.
Like Tickle the Goatsy.
Like
Yeah.
Tickle the Goatsy it's out. Used to be in. It's out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out now.
We've moved on. Let's see what we got. We don't really have time for questions, comments, corrections, or clarifications, but if you have one for the future, hotspot at gamespot.com. Write in. I like your emails. Let's see. Pop quiz hotspot. Silos 911. Oh, and by the way, this is for the signed Pikmin 2 cardboard cutout that has Miyamoto's signature and others. I forgot to bring it up. Sorry.
That's not the thing that's the size of a man, is it?
No.
Okay.
It's
Small
the
man.
size, It's the size of a small man.
There's no.
It's like the size of
Oh.
Pomeranian.
Yeah.
Okay.
About a Chihuahua size.
It's bigger than that.
I don't know. Look at last week's video and you'll see it. Anyway, Silos 911 quizzes. Zelda Gaiden was supposed to be a Zelda game in a brand new overworld and new game mechanics. This eventually was canceled as a 64DD game, but came out in a cartridge as Majora's Mask. What is the name of the other Zelda game announced? Either the Japanese name or the English translation may begin.
Announced for the 64DD?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It was the legend. It was Zelda's adventure.
Zelda.
Zelda Adventure 3.
Zelda DD.
Zelda Double D's.
Zelda double D's. Double the
It
font.
was probably Link.
You guys have no idea.
A link to the Majora.
Double D.
The
A
Legend
link to
of
the
Zelda Link's Adventure.
Twilight Awakening.
Wait, that might be in.
Twilight Double D's.
The Legend of Throwing Chickens?
Ura Zelda.
Or a Zelda.
Yeah, that
Yura
doesn't sound
Zelda.
familiar at all, which is weird because
What is that? The Japanese title?
So here we go. Ura Zelda is the Japanese name. Another Zelda is the English translation. Some believe for Master Quest to be Ura Zelda. However, Nintendo claimed there would be brand new dungeons and enemies, but Master Quest had neither, so most people in Zelda community consider Ura Zelda to be unreleased. Master Quest is believed to have some elements from Ura Zelda. However, Master Quest is not the full Ura Zelda. Does that make sense to anybody?
That was a tough one.
That was a
Sure.
tough one.
The more you know.
Man,
The more
64DD. That's
Wow.
What do you know about the 64DD?
it released in Japan for real, and there was like an F-Zero track editor.
What actually? I didn't even know what the 64DD
Oh, it was
was
they
until-
announced it at Shoshinka because they're like, our games can only hold. I think Mario 64 was 8 megabytes, and this could hold 64 megabytes, which is 1/10 of what the PlayStation CD could hold. So that was like ill-fated in the beginning, and it never came out in America. I mean, it had that Doshin game, Doshin the Giant.
Okay.
It was a bad idea. I can't believe they
Nintendo kind
even.
of has some bad ideas.
I
with
don't
its
even know why
hardware.
they released it at all in Japan. Like there's no point to it.
Yeah. Anyway, Silos 911, you are a winner. I will get your contact information. If you have some obscure gaming trivia, NES era or beyond, and you want to win Free stuff. Riddles, soundtracks we'll do. Theme songs. Write in. Tell us what it is. We will send you some gaming-related swag. Probably the best game to come out this week. No games came out this week. And as well as some junk lying around the office that we will sign, and maybe Miyamoto will sign as well. HotSpot at GameSpot.com is where you can send those submissions. Housekeeping. To our one listener in St. Kitts and Nevis. Neves? Neves. It's in the Bahamas. I'm guessing you're training to be a veterinarian. Am I right? I don't know. Write in. Tell me. I want to know. Do you like the Hotspot? If you do, there is a thing called the OzSpot and the GameSpot UK podcast. Those are audio only. So for those of you clamoring for just the audio, there you go. But
some international flavor.
And some international flavor. Yeah. You can get the likes of Guy Cocker crewing in your ear.
Yeah, horrible accent.
No.
Well, Rendell Francie.
He's got more of a North England accent.
Yeah, that was a South England.
Guy Cocker crewing in your ear.
Oh, okay.
All right. Good, actually.
I mean, I don't want to say that was better. It was certainly different.
It was different.
Yeah.
What about Dan Capini? Oh,
jeez.
Dan Capini down in Australia. That's bad. Sorry, Dan.
You guys are being really racist right now.
Okay. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up. That does it for this week. Chris Waters.
That's my name, Chris Waters.
I'm really bad with names today. Thank you for coming by.
You're welcome, Tom. It's a pleasure.
Thomas Che.
You got me.
I know. Sean McDennis.
Nope, it's McDennis now.
McDennis.
I had it legally changed about an hour ago.
I'm a moron. That does it for us. Hotspot out!